Alright guys, let's talk. I have been a little MIA the last month and I kind of wanted to talk to you about it. I have my project with me today, so we're gonna have a little knit and chat. Oh my gosh, this looks so... This might be too big. I'm working on the... Oops, my row counter just fell and rolled underneath my desk. 1 second, I gotta go get that. Yikes. Okay, I'm back. It was this little thingy that I lost. It's the only way that I am keeping count of my rows right now. What's been going on? Well, the last month has been kind of just insane, honestly. And most of it is because of work, my 9-to-5 job. I'm gonna talk a little bit about my job. I'm gonna talk about just, I don't know, kind of like career stuff and like my thoughts on navigating your career in like your late 20s going into your early 30s. I've definitely so I guess a little bit of background. I've been working since I graduated from college, basically. So I've been working for like a while now. Straight out of undergrad, I worked at a startup, and yeah, I've been working in tech ever since. And if you know anything about the tech industry right now, you probably know that it is kind of fucking insane. There's a lot of layoffs going on, and yeah, so basically we had layoffs like about a week ago. Luckily, I still have my job for the time being, but yeah, that's kind of what happened. And just like the month leading up to it, things were just really stressful at work. I think a lot of people just kind of knew what was coming at this point, because just like it's not our first layoff at this company, and it's so like prevalent in the industry right now. I think a lot of people are just really tuned into like signs that it might be coming. So that's kind of like what happened. So things have just been really stressful the last couple of weeks. I've honestly just found it really hard to, I don't know, to like do anything related to like my creative endeavors, like sewing, knitting. I found it really hard to be motivated to do any of these things, because there is this like part of me that's a little bit like, what's the point? Like, you know, the world is ending. And so yeah, that's kind of why I didn't really film much in the last month. I just like, honestly, there just wasn't anything to like film, and I just didn't have like the creative juices to like document or create anything interesting with regards to like any of my projects or my life. So that being said, I am hoping that this month, so at the time of filming, it's like, you know, the start of April, I am really hoping that this month will be kind of a new, I don't know, like turning a new page. But yeah, I don't know, layoffs are just like, they're just terrible, honestly. Here's my experience with layoffs. I am lucky that I did not get laid off this time, but I have been on both sides of layoffs like way more times than I would like to have, you know, experienced in this lifetime. Like I've actually been laid off twice in, you know, over the course of what is a very short career, honestly. I've also been on the other side of like layoffs, like not getting laid off. And I mean, I will say like between the two, it is definitely better to not get laid off. Like it's definitely better to still have like, you know, income and some stability, not have the rug get pulled out from under you. But I don't know, it's really like, it's so tough. Like layoffs are really demoralizing. And like I actually got laid off from my first job ever straight out of university, and like that shit changes you. That shit like fundamentally like changes your outlook on, you know, like what work should be, and like the role that work should have in your life, what it means to have a career in this day and age, because it's just, things can be so volatile and things can be so, you know, uncertain. It's really interesting to like be someone, or to like navigate a modern career in this day and age where it's like, you know, like you don't, I think most of us know nowadays that's like you can't really expect to join a company and then, you know, start as like the male boy and then work your way up to like CEO one day. Like that's just like, it's just not, it's just not the reality. Like no one, that's not happening for anyone. Most of us can expect to work a multitude of jobs in this lifetime at a multitude of companies. I think like the way that it's sort of impacted my, I guess just like how I think about my career and how I think about like career growth or like career ambitions, I think has a lot less to do with like, oh, like what can I do for a company, and a lot more to do with like, oh, like what's the kind of life I want to chart for myself, like what's the kind of career that, or careers that I want to, you know, embark on. Because like in a way, like a career is kind of long if you think about it. Like it can be like, I don't know, like close to like 4 decades of your life. You take like a standard work week, 9 to 5, 40 hours a week. It's a lot of time that we spend at work. And I will say, like for myself, the last, not quite decade, but like, you know, it's been like the last couple of years that I've worked in tech, there have been so many highs and lows. Some of the startups that I've worked at, it's like I've had some of the best like times of my life. Like I've made some of the closest friends that I've, you know, I've made some like really, really close friends that I hope to have for like the rest of my life basically. But these are also places where things have been really toxic, and like sometimes like when you are really close friends with people at work, it can be really hard to separate yourself from the negativity when things do get toxic. So anyways, sorry, my point there is just like there has been a lot of highs and lows in this little short time that I've been in tech. There's been a lot of lows because I do really feel like so much of my career has been just kind of like defined by like this word like layoff. So I think I'm gonna talk actually a bit about my life story a little bit through the lens of like work and career. So yeah, my first job out of college, I worked at the startup, and it was, you know, in hindsight, it was a really great experience. At the time, like the way things ended, it wasn't great. Things did get really toxic towards the end. I don't know, it's so funny, like now when I look back on it, I forget like all the things that made me hate working there, and I only remember like the good times. I made some like really amazing friends, and also I will say this job was pre-pandemic, so I was actually in office like 4 to 5 days a week. So I got to like see the same people every single day. And because of that, I, you know, developed like a really strong sense of community at work. That sense of community was also like, I think I recognized straight out the gate that like that community that I developed at work was very like, it's like contingent on me working there, right? So it's like in that way, it's like I knew that I couldn't rely solely on that community. I knew that I still needed other things in my life because what's the word that I'm looking for? It's so fragile. It's like even back then, before I had ever even known that you could just get like fired one day out of the blue, like I knew that that community could be taken from me at any time. I don't know, it definitely gave me like a little bit of an existential crisis where it was like after I finished school, you know, because like before I started working at the startup, school was my main community. And then once I lost that, it was sort of like, well, what is community? Like, where am I supposed to get a community in this like day and age? Work is kind of like the primary institution that we have to meet other people, especially since like a lot of us like might not be religious. We might not be going to like religious institutions. It really is like outside of your family, like where are you going to meet people? Who are you going to be spending your time with? When I finished school, I was just like, I don't know, like I feel so like alone in the world. And it kind of felt like the only thing that I was tethered to was like this job and like the people that I saw at this job. And then now it's interesting because like post-pandemic, I have worked remote. Like I literally have not worked from an office, at least regularly. Like the jobs that I've had, they have offices. I've like gone into an office, but I do not work regularly at an office. I do not like work with a team that is like all located in the same city as me. Although my last job was actually like that, which was really nice. Now that my job is fully remote, I actually look back on this first job at the startup with like just like so much fondness. Like I was like, man, it was so much fun to come in and just kind of like shoot the shit with my coworkers and like, you know, get up to like certain shenanigans, and we had like social clubs at work and we would like hang out after work. Like it was just like my life was so entwined with these people. And also it helped too that at that point in time I was single, so it's not like I had anyone else to be spending that time with. Sadly, that startup was not doing very well, and it was financially, it wasn't doing well. I think everyone kind of knew that like the company wasn't really going anywhere. During my time there, like I saw a lot of people leave, and then I realized that my career probably wasn't going to go anywhere, so I also decided to leave. And then I'll say I got really lucky the first time I got laid off because I had actually already like snagged 2 job offers around the time when I did get laid off because I had already started looking. So, you know, one day, a bunch of execs came to town and it was just kind of like, oh no, they came to town like unannounced, like what's going on? And lo and behold, the next day we had a team meeting, but that team meeting was just to tell me and my then boss that we were getting fired. It's very interesting to get laid off in person. Like now that I have been through it both remote and in person, I will say that it is very interesting to be laid off in person. It's definitely much more traumatic because you go through the whole like everyone's packing up their boxes and like people are crying. I was crying. Like, it's just not fun. The next time I went through something like that, it was also another startup, but all of it happened over Zoom, which is, I don't know, also like really dystopic if you think about it, because it's just like one day you're like, I don't know, la-di-da-da-da, I'm doing my work, I'm doing my job, everything is great, and then suddenly your CEO is like, we have a company all hands, everyone must attend, and then you go to this all hands and they're like, a bunch of you guys are losing your job, and then you get the email and it's like, you are losing your job. Yes, that's how it went down the second time. So that was also at another startup. When I got laid off from my second job, it went down like pretty much how I described it. Then I was just like logged off from all of my systems, like Slack shut down. It is a really like weirdly discombobulating experience to be laid off like that, because one moment you're just like talking to your coworkers on Slack and then suddenly you lose access to everything. And then that's when you realize like, oh shit, like I don't know how, I can't actually like reach these people in real life because the only way I was talking with them was through Slack. And then you just feel like, oh my God, like I've lost, like I don't know how to reach out to these people. I don't know, like, and then there's just this like mad scramble afterwards, like kind of like find you. It's almost like you're in a dark room and you don't know where anything is, you don't know where anyone is, and you're just kind of like wandering around trying to like find someone, find something that you know. So yeah, there's just this like mad dash afterwards on other social media platforms to like find each other, send each other messages. What was nice about that layoff was like, even though that job was remote, we were all based out of the same city at the time, and so afterwards we like got together and like got really drunk. And, you know, it's just like a really nice moment of like camaraderie. I think like now, so I will say, you know, I have been really stressed out about like possibly getting laid off again, because somehow like, even though I've been through this multiple times at this point, the older I get, the more it feels like I have more to lose each time. Like, I don't know how to describe it. It's just like, maybe it's just like getting older and like, you know, having different financial goals versus like when I was 22 and I just like didn't really care that much about saving money, or I just didn't really know what my like future financial goals were. Like now I'm, you know, a bit older and I have like certain things I want to do. Like maybe one day, I don't know, like just like settling down with my partner. Like I have a partner now. We like do things together. We travel together. We like maybe want to have a house together one day. It's just like all those things require like jobs and like income. The thought of like losing my job is definitely like a lot scarier than it used to be. Even though in a way like I'm more prepared for it than I used to be, because I am at this point like a little bit more financially stable because I've saved more money. I think like overall the things that I have to try to hold on to give myself peace about all of the scariness and the uncertainty of the situation is that like every single time that I was laid off, I always ended up in a situation that was better than the one that I was in previously. Like the first time I got laid off, I was able to land a job that paid much more, almost double more than I was making at that startup. It was a job that then opened my doors to even better opportunities afterwards. And then the second time I was laid off, that job I was definitely starting to feel very miserable at. The emotional burnout was so insane. Like I remember getting laid off, and I mean I was obviously like really sad and I cried, but I also remember it was just like such a weight off my shoulders. Like things were, in the months leading up to that layoff, I was so miserable. Like I don't know, I just remember I probably cried like I don't know how often. I like definitely was crying about work. I was just, I don't know, I remember like constantly just like hating my life and like wanting to log off early and just like taking like mental health days here and there. Like it was so bad. It got to a point where like my partner even noticed that I was just like fully retracting within myself. Like I remember there was like this one week where I was having like a particularly bad time at work, and he like noticed, and he was like, you won't even hug me. How sad is that? That I was like, I can't even like bring myself to like touch another person because I'm just like in so much distress. I remember like joking with a coworker too about like, you know, the possibility of layoffs, and just being like, you know what, honestly, there's layoffs, like they can take me, and then they did. I don't know how serious I was actually about that, but they took it pretty seriously. Then the actual like layoff happened, and I don't know, it just kind of felt like I was like free, because as much as I was like miserable, I was also kind of like really committed to like just toughing it out for some reason. Like I refused to look for another job for some reason. I don't know why. I think part of it was because I felt like I was kind of close to getting a promotion, so it was, you know, there was that aspect. When I got laid off, it just kind of felt like I was set free. The good part of it too was I lost that job actually at the start of summer, and so I basically was just unemployed for the whole summer, and I did spend a lot of my time like, you know, working on my resume, working on my portfolio, job hunting. But I don't know, it's so funny. I look back on that time now and I'm like, that was one of the best summers ever, because my partner at the time actually had just finished his graduate degree. So he was also unemployed and looking for a job. So we were both unemployed. So we had like so much free time to just hang out with each other, hang out with our friends, hang out with his family. We went traveling that summer, which was actually a trip that we booked like before any of job losses happened. But you know, it was great timing. We traveled, and it was just, I don't know, like I think this is like one of the biggest things about layoffs, and the thing that I always tell like my friends who go through this, because at this point, like I have a lot of friends that work in tech. A lot of them have been laid off. I don't know. I think the most important thing is like honestly to just cherish that time, because like as scary as it is to not have your employment lined up or like not know what the next thing is, like I said, a career is long, and like before retirement you don't really ever get like time to yourself like you do when you're unemployed, because you know, it's not like being in school where like every year you get like 2 months, 3 months, 4 months of like summer vacation. When you're employed, you're just going from job to job. The older I get and the more financially secure I do become, the more I do really, really value time. Because like that is just like one of those things where it's like you can never buy more of it. The thing that I've like noticed recently now, especially with starting like a YouTube channel, is that like, or let me put it this way. The thing that I've noticed now, especially with starting a YouTube channel and trying to make videos and like grow this YouTube channel, which like I do actually want to grow this YouTube channel. I want to like keep making videos, but that's the thing, like I have a 9-to-5 job, and it's like really hard to find the time to balance both. And so yeah, time is just like so precious. So if any of you watching this are in a position where you are looking for a job, or you just lost a job, just know that like it will not last forever, even if it does feel like it might. Like we can be so resourceful and adaptable. People find a way. And if you can, obviously, like, you know, within your financial means, if you can enjoy that time off, like really try to enjoy it, because you just don't know when you'll get months of just free time. God forbid if the worst did happen and if I did lose my job, you know, I kind of have to just like tell myself like, I have been through this before. I know what to expect, and I also know that I should just kind of try to cherish that time as much as possible. My cat just came by and she's being really cute. Want to say hi for the camera? Ugh. Look at this face. Look at this face. Oh my god. Her name is Pixel. I promise that while she may not like being manhandled, she usually puts up with it. Oh god, did you just use your litter box? Ew. Gross. Ah, the joys of having a pet. I kind of want to talk a little bit about, I don't know, I guess like how I'm thinking about my career ambitions these days, and what I want to do next in life, question mark. I think that like overall I am obviously very grateful for the career that I've had in tech. Financially, it's just like afforded me the ability to do a lot of things that I never thought would be possible. My current job has brought me to California, which is just like, you know, it's such a beautiful place to live. I'm so lucky that I get to experience this, and I definitely think that this is like a chapter of my life that I will cherish forever. But in terms of like, you know, my job and just like what I want to do, it's so, I mean, it's not always like sunshine and rainbows. I do enjoy like what I do for work. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes I wouldn't say every day is amazing, but I don't know. I do think at the end of the day, if I'm being honest with myself, like my real dream in life is like I really want to find a way to work for myself. And I don't know, I think that's kind of why I was like drawn to things like YouTube and like making content, is because like, I mean, there's two parts of it. The first part is that I feel like I am a very creative individual and I really like to make things. I mean, this shows up in like the actual crafty hobbies that I have, but it also shows up in other things like playing around with different types of media and like documenting my life in creative ways, or like storytelling. I think storytelling is like the best way to put it. I grew up in the Tumblr era. I grew up in the suburbs. The suburbs were incredibly boring to me. I hated living in the suburbs. I never ever want to live in the suburbs like ever again. And one of the ways that I would like entertain myself during the summers was to take my dad's DSLR and go around taking artsy fartsy photos of like myself and my friends. Definitely one of those teenagers that liked to take pictures and then put a filter over it and then add some like deep angsty quote and be like, oh my god, look at me, I'm an artist, I listen to the Smiths. And I feel like that kind of explains like why I am also the type of adult that I am, which is just like into like making videos, into vlogging, into photography, into crafting. Like I have all these like artistic and creative pursuits that I don't really get to indulge in my day-to-day work. And I mean, I would say like that is a big thing that's like missing for me in my career, is that I really wish that I could be doing, like sometimes I just wish that I could be doing things that were more creative and more hands-on. When I was like growing up, one of my dream jobs was to be a fashion designer, and my parents did not like that idea at all. They didn't think that I could make any money doing that. And I mean, maybe they're right, but like, I don't know, even now I'm like, man, that would have been such a cool job. Probably would have struggled a lot more financially than I do now. I guess like the grass is always greener. I guess that's kind of like my whole point with this though, is like that's sort of the next phase that I'm thinking about, is just like, how can I be more self-sufficient? Like how can I like possibly work for myself one day? Like I just like, it's like a risk that I want to take, but I just don't know like when is the right time to take that risk. When will I know that like, you know, I should bet on myself? Is it just something that I should do? Like I don't want to quit my job right now. Like I like my job. I feel like I'm the type of person where like one day I'm gonna look back and I feel like I'm gonna want to feel like, oh man, I built something, even if it's just for me. Like I did that. And because I think there's just something so rewarding about like conceptualizing something and like making it come to life, and like, you know, working on something that's just kind of like entirely for you. In my job, I get exposed to small business owners a lot, and I am just like so inspired by these people who just, I don't know, I mean, I know for some of them they probably kind of just like fall into it, but it's just like they take these risks and they make these bets and it just kind of works out, and they have businesses, and it's not easy. I definitely don't want to romanticize it because I know that it is like an insane amount of work, but I just feel so envious in a way that these people can point to something real and tangible and be like, I made that, that's all me. And I think it's just also like the amount of people that I see like doing it, like people just opening that coffee shop with their wives, or like, you know, starting that business with their friends or whatever, you know, like I see that, I'm just like, oh my god, like how can I do that? I have this thought sometimes of like, man, there's so many lives out there that I could be living, like, and the life that I'm living is pretty good, but sometimes I just want to try doing something else, like building something and, you know, feeling like I worked hard and I did that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what that will look like for me. Like right now, I know that I like my silly little crafts. I like making my little sweaters and sewing my little dresses. I know that I like filming videos. I know that I like making content. I know that there's not a lot of you that watch these videos right now, but every time I post a video, there's like someone out there who sees it. People leave really, really nice comments, even if there's not a lot of people, you know, leaving comments. It's just kind of like, wow, there's one person out there who cared enough to watch the video. And that is like a type of satisfaction that is really hard to get from anything else. Just knowing that it's like someone out there is like connecting to the things that you are saying and the things that you are putting out there. And I think that is like really, really special. I don't know if this video is going to be very helpful for any of you that are going through like a layoff or just job uncertainty or job instability. I think that's not really the point of this video for me, because like I'm not a career coach, and like I mean like I give like career advice to like, you know, some of my friends sometimes, but ultimately like everyone's journey is so like unique and personal to them. The thing that I did really want to speak to was just like, I feel like especially when you get older, the rhythms of daily life can really trap you. Or how do I put this? I think the thing that I did want to talk about was just how like as you get older, it can be really easy to forget like some of those dreams that you have when you're younger that might feel a little bit crazy. And I think that's kind of like the phase of life that I'm in right now. Things are so insane in the world right now, and there is just so much that feels out of our control. And I think that's actually the main thing that like if I were to describe in like a sentence like how I felt about my career for the last like several years that I've been working, is that I don't feel like I have agency over it. And I think that's actually the thing that makes me feel the most frustrated, is that I almost feel like I don't have agency over my own life. Like throughout my career, it has felt a lot like other people are making decisions for me. People are making decisions about whether I should stay or whether I should go. People, even in my current job, like I'm really lucky to still have this current job. And I will say like right now, overall, like the things that I work on and the people that I work with, they're great. The problems I get to tackle are really interesting, and I do care about the mission of the company that I work for. I've also had to go through a lot of changes that don't always feel fair, because they're not changes that I had any say in. And I think that's why at the end of the day, I'm really interested in finding this path forward where I can build something for myself, because I want to feel like an active participant in my life. I don't want to feel like I'm just watching things happen to me. I don't want to feel like other people are just calling the shots. If there's anything that you can take away from this video today, it's that I hope you don't give up on your dreams. I hope that like I feel like so many people have said this, but like it's okay for like life to not be linear, and it's okay to like take your time figuring things out. And specifically on the topic of like finding a career in like a more creative industry or like in the arts, is that like, you know, it's okay if like you kind of have to like work a different 9 to 5 to like sustain it until you like, you know, can make it a more sustainable source of income. Or like it's okay if you have to work like multiple jobs in order to like fund your more creative pursuits. I feel like that's kind of what I'm doing right now, is I'm sort of like in my current career, but I'm trying to figure out how can I make some of my creative interests more of that 9 to 5 for me, if that makes sense. I do think that I really want to like do something that's like more tactile and hands-on and just like, yeah, just like, I don't know, creative. Creative's like the word of the day here. I don't know, it's so cheesy, but it's like, I will say like throughout my career, I know I just said like, I don't know when is going to be the right time to like take a really big risk on myself. But I do know that like, if you don't bet on yourself, nobody else will. And so I don't know, I guess I'm just kind of like, I'm talking about this because in a way I'm like, I also kind of just want to like speak this into existence. I know that there's so many people out there that are going through something similar to me. I know that I watch content creators who have taken that plunge. I respect them so much, because that is so scary to give up like the stability of a bi-weekly paycheck and just to know like exactly how much money you're gonna get paid every single month. Yeah, I don't know, I guess it's just like, I just hope like one day I can kind of figure out what is that path forward gonna look like for me. I guess this is where I'll end this little knit chat today, is just sort of on this hopeful note that like we don't have to give up on our dreams. And that I think like something that was like really eye-opening for me was like, I think it was Brene Brown actually who like talked about careers this way, but it's the idea that like your career can be like a series of hyphens. Like you can be like a dog walker hyphen artist hyphen lawyer hyphen I mean, you probably can't be like all the things ever, but it's just this idea that like you don't have to pick one thing and do it forever. And that's sort of what I'm like hoping to manifest for myself, but also for any of you. If any of you are like going through this sort of like transition period or just like inflection point where you're kind of like, like, you know, what's next for me? Kind of feeling like I should do something. Like I have this like itch to get outside of my comfort zone and grow. Just know that like you're not alone and I'm here for you. I'm figuring it out. I hope that like something in this video has helped bring you peace, because I know that when I watch videos like this, it definitely makes me feel like, I don't know, it just makes me feel like I'm not crazy for wanting the things that I want. Let me know in the comments if any of you have ever felt this way, if any of you have ever struggled with like a layoff or just like figuring out like what's next in your career. Anyways, this month I hope to be making more videos, so definitely stay tuned for that, and I will catch you in the next Nick Talk. Bye.